Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska is America's newest senator. He joined the Senate in January of this year, and I got a chance to meet him and sit with him on Wednesday night when I was down in D.C. Good morning, Senator. Good to talk to you again.
Good morning, Hugh. Thanks for having me on.
A great speech on Wednesday night. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy doing that at the National Portrait Gallery, because that's where most of the galas are held in D.C. Are you used to that venue?
Thanks. Well, it was a beautiful venue. Actually, I've been associated with ALEC for a long time as governor, worked with a lot of my state legislators, and was actually at the gala, I think it was about 4 years ago as well. So it is a great event.
Well, you did an excellent job of summarizing why ALEC matters so much. Senator, let me ask you about Senator Tuberville. Have you met him yet?
Oh, of course I've met Senator Tuberville, yes.
Okay, he's got the hold on all of the American military. I hope you can persuade him. We're on the brink of war right now with the Forward Strike Group in the Mediterranean. Do you think we can move some nominations through?
Yeah, this has been a topic of conversation a lot within the conference and within it. And one of the things I do want to point out is that Chuck Schumer does have the ability to move forward on these nominations. In fact, he did with C.Q. Brown to be able to start moving forward, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps. So he knows he can do this, and really is a little disingenuous for him to say he can't. Now, we can argue back and forth on the policy aspects of this, and I agree with you. This is something that we are facing very, very, very dangerous times right now, and we need to have a prepared military. It's one of those things where we're caught between what the administration is doing, which frankly a lot of us view as illegal, to have the Defense Department pay for abortions, and then also the need to have military necessity. So there's been a lot of discussions. I know Senator Sullivan's also been heavily involved with Senator Tuberville to find a resolve here, a resolution, and we're going to keep working it.
Yeah, I do know that, for example, the CNO is vacant, and Chuck Schumer could bring that up. But you can't bring up 330 nominations. There's just not enough time in the day. And this has always been routine in the past. So he's made his point. But with the House now broken, I don't know when we're ever going to get back to regular order. Speaking of which, do you have hopes for the GOP conference tonight, agreeing on a speaker?
Well, again, the events in Israel have really demonstrated again why it's so important that we get a speaker as soon as possible. We've got very important topics we've got to address, not the least of which is passing a budget, for crying out loud. That's the most important thing we do all year, is to fund the government in an appropriate way. And we haven't done that, as you know, in years in the regular order. And the House is a big part of that. We got to have them on board with the speaker. Then, of course, we've got to face the dangers that's going on in Israel. We've got to face the dangers that's going on in Ukraine. China is continuing to challenge us. I think what we're seeing right now, Hugh, is that our adversaries are taking advantage of what they appear to be our focus on internal matters right now, and it's leading to some very dangerous consequences.
Now, since the slaughter in Israel on Saturday, 900 people killed, 150 taken hostage, President Biden has talked to the country for 90 seconds. Is that appropriate?
Absolutely not. I got to tell you, I've been so disappointed in this Biden administration in so many ways, and this is just the latest example. The first words out of the administration's mouth was to call on Israel to be responsible for de-escalation. Let's be clear who the victim is here. Our condolences and our thoughts and prayers are going with the state of Israel and her people who have suffered this barbarous, savage attack. The Hamas they're terrorists, and they have murdered grandparents at bus stops. They have raped women. They have kidnapped children. These are the perpetrators. These are the evil people, not the state of Israel. Israel is defending itself and needs to fight against these people, and they need to have our support. We should have the only thing that should be coming out of the administration right now is, Israel, what do you need? We stand with you. And the lack of attention from this is really, really disappointing. If the Biden administration won't act, I can tell you the U.S. Congress will, because I've already got my team working on an amendment to defund the Palestinian Authority. Marshall Blackburn from Tennessee has got a letter going to the administration to stop the $6 billion that the Biden administration allowed to be transferred from South Korea to Qatar, intercept that before it makes it to Iran. Iran is behind the funding and organization of this. We've got to take decisive steps to stop this evil force that is attacking the free peoples of the world.
And I agree. That's why I hope you see Tuberville in the hallway and you say, Senator, now is not the time to make this point. Let me go to the border, if I can, Senator Ricketts, because Admiral Stav Reedus just pointed out to me. I asked him if he thought Iran was aware of our open southern border. He said, well, Hamas is too. And if Hamas is willing to cut through chain fences and risk getting killed, they're willing to walk through the Darien Gap and open and walk through a border.
You're absolutely right, Hugh. And we've seen just a huge increase of the number of people crossing the border on the terrorist watch list. Just a few years ago, it was in the single digits. This past year, it's been 151 people on it, and that's not counting the gotaways. So, and not just people potentially that are on the terrorist watch list, but I can tell you the number of Chinese nationals that's crossing the border is up over 400%. Our adversaries, again, know that the Biden administration is not defending our southern border, and my worry is they're taking advantage of it, just as you suggest, and we could be open to the same sort of attacks that Hamas has just perpetrated on Israel. They infiltrated Israel's border and were able to carry out these heinous crimes and kidnappings, and we're opening ourselves up to the same things by allowing our southern border to be open, where people could infiltrate and then potentially do us harm down the road.
I don't know who Foreign Affairs who's running Foreign Affairs now. Senator Menendez has stepped aside. Who is your new chairman?
Ben Cardin from Maryland.
Has Senator Cardin called for a hearing on either the massacre in Israel or our open border since Saturday?
We have not had any communication from Senator Cardin to be able to do that. Frankly, he would need Senator Schumer's help, because Senator Schumer is the one who has us right now on recess. Again, just really inexplicable, where we've been on recess up until, September 30th was our deadline to get the government funded. Senator Schumer has in recess 5 out of 9 weeks. And as soon as we passed a continuing resolution on Saturday night, right before the government shut down, he gave us Monday off, then he gave us Thursday off for Senator Feinstein's funeral, didn't have us in Fridays, got us off all this week. We've got so many important issues that we have to tackle, and yet Senator Schumer who's the leader of the Senate, who calls the shots, isn't having us working, doesn't have us in D.C.
I'm very harsh on Senator Tuberville, but I want to point out, if you'd just been at work, you can move a nomination in 2 hours. So that's 5 nominations a day for each of those 5 weeks that you've been off.
Yeah, and absolutely, we could, again, we appoint so many people throughout the government. We approve so many judges. We approve so many people in administration. If we would actually work, we could actually, frankly, we could take these votes a lot faster, because you don't have to get 45 minutes between each vote. You can get these things done in 10 to 15 minutes if you really want to sit there. It would require all of us to be on the floor to get it done, but it has happened in the past. And frankly, after being governor in Nebraska and seeing what a real legislative body does in the Nebraska legislature, we can be on the floor and get the people's business done if Schumer will just say, hey, we're going to get this stuff going. Like most Americans, most Americans work Monday through Friday, not the U.S. Senate. We come in maybe Monday or Tuesday, leave on Thursday, and that's because that's the way Schumer wants it. He doesn't want us getting work done.
Is there any urgency, Senator Ricketts, about the world situation right now? Because I do believe we are on the brink, certainly of a war in Gaza, maybe with a war in Lebanon, and perhaps a war with Iran. And I would expect everyone to be there and talking about what do we do. Is there any sense of urgency?
Absolutely. On the part of some Republicans, there are. When Senator Schumer gave us all this time off, I organized a letter quickly to send to him and say, hey, just kind of what I told you. Most Americans work, I know it was a crazy idea, work Monday through Friday. Leader Schumer, call us into session. Keep us here Monday through Friday at the very least, so we can get the work that people done, for example, passing the 12 appropriations bills that passed government. And a number of my Republican senators signed on board with that as well. But the first thing Schumer did is he headed off to China and didn't call us back into session.
By the way, talking about China, why did he go to China? Why are we doing anything with them? They are sending fentanyl into this country in massive amounts via the Sinaloa cartel. Why is he going to China?
You have to ask Senator Schumer what the goal of going to China was. I agree with you. It's very clear they're our adversaries. They have been incredibly aggressive and hostile toward us. We need to be taking the steps to deter them, and it's not a strategy of appeasement that the Biden administration has pursued. It's got to be a strategy of strength. It means we've got to start taking concrete actions to push back on them. and sitting down and talking with them is not going to get the job done.
Senator Pete Ricketts, good to meet you on in person on Wednesday night, and I look forward to seeing you again in D.C. Thank you for joining me this morning.
All right, thanks a lot, Hugh. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Good seeing you.